Hello everyone, my name is Carrie, and I am the creator of the Oral History Project, or OHP, for the Game of Thrones Winter is Coming browser game. The OHP consists of one-on-one interviews with members of the GoT community that either play or once played the game. Due to my previous role as a game chronicler, I had restrictions as to what could and could not be shared. But since I am no longer a part of that system, you can now hear the unedited versions of these recordings, with the sole exception of interviewee requested edits. The following recording is one of these interviews. I hope you enjoy it. Hello everyone, my name is Carrie, and I'm interviewing Senturi on October 16th, 2020 for the WiC Oral History Project. This interview is being conducted and recorded in a private Discord chat. The recording will be made available for anyone interested on the Black Dragons Discord in the Oral Histories channel. Thank you for joining me today, Senturi.
Thank you for having me, Carrie. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you today.
Thank you. How do you pronounce your in-game name? Why did you choose this name for yourself?
Okay, so it's pronounced Senturi, and honestly, I have no idea why I chose this name.
Okay.
It's just, I remember sitting, I was on Facebook one day, saw this Game of Thrones thing pop up, so I said, okay, I'll have a look at this, because, you know, I was into the books, into the TV show.
Okay.
And joined the game, and at a certain point, Melisandre asked me, what's your name? So that's kind of what popped into my head.
Just random out of there,
it.
Senturi?
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's
Okay.
about the size of it.
Okay. Do you enjoy this name? Have you ever thought about renaming?
Well, I mean, it would be the name stuck with me. I'll put it that way. But from
Okay.
time to time, we do this thing where I'll give you an example. The tree disguise that came out recently.
Yes.
Every single one of us in AFO changed our names to some kind of a tree-related thing. So instead of Senturi, I was Sentry. We had Ali Tree or Gold Tree and Tree Receive, if you remember Heretic. I mean, everybody just implemented a tree thing. So we do kind of change our names from time to time, and it's always just a little bit of fun. But we always revert back to the originals again, you know?
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So, tell me, why did you decide to start playing the game? You mentioned that you did enjoy Game of Thrones, but was it the books, the movies? Or not movies, TV show, rather?
Yeah. No, both, to be honest. Like, I had read some of the books. I think the first two books I'd read. Then the TV show came out, and that got me back into reading the books again. And I really, really enjoyed the TV show, like the first maybe 5 seasons or so.
Okay.
And then, of course, I just saw this thing pop up on Facebook one day, and I go, okay, this could be fun. Of course, had no idea what I was doing when I joined it, but you know, we went from there. So it's just kind of the whole theme of it, really.
I gotcha.
That's about it.
So, let me ask you, how has your impression of the game changed over time?
That's an interesting question. Well, I mean, if I go back and put myself in the place where I was day one, so I joined, I ended up on K11, out in the middle of nowhere with literally no clue what was happening. Joined an open alliance called Hell, sat there for a little while.
You were in Hell?
You know, yeah, do you remember Hell?
Yeah, because they merged into BDS.
Yeah, that was my very, very first alliance. So
oh, that's
I
so
remember
funny. Okay.
There was like 2 active people in there. There was
yeah,
Gel
My Knight and Gel.
My Knight, yeah.
Yeah.
They were like the active people. So you know, just had random conversations with them every now and then. And just went farming. That was about it. Farm, build a building, do a research.
I gotcha.
Do some more farming. You know, it was fun. It was nice.
That is so funny. Okay.
Yeah, it just kind of progressed there. Then you go to a slightly bigger alliance and a slightly bigger alliance, and you know, you get to know, I guess, different people.
Yes.
And you you end up making some really, really good friends in it, and that's probably the biggest draw of this game, you know, as opposed to any of the features that are in it, any of the events,
Mm,
any of the different things that they bring out from time to time. It's all about the people,
yes,
you know.
I
That
agree.
that's the big draw for me personally.
So let's talk about. Well, first, I forgot to ask. Do any real life friends or family members play with you here?
No, no.
Okay.
My partner Joy kind of looks at it from time to time and goes, "Okay, I don't know what you're doing. I'm gonna stay away from this and play Candy Crush." But that's about as close as it gets.
All right. So that makes sense. Tell me. So K11 was your first kingdom. Tell me about
Yes.
that experience. You started out in hell, and then what made
So yeah.
you choose to leave?
Well, so I was in hell, and it was fun, but there wasn't really much happening. As I said, there was like a handful of kind of active, semi-active people there.
Okay.
Like it was really hard to put together a rally. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So
And when
you're
was
sitting
this?
there.
When?
Sorry.
How long ago was this? When did this first start? When did you
Oh,
start playing?
like March 18, I guess. Like it was near enough to the beginning of when it came out, I believe.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure when it came out, but it was March, April, kind of way.
I gotcha. Okay.
Um, so I was sitting there one day, and then I got a mail from a guy in an alliance called Angels of Death, and he invited me to pop over, and I could see that they were much, much bigger than us and seemed a lot more active. From watching the kingdom and the dynamics of the kingdom from the outside,
Right.
you could see that at when I started playing, they were very active in the kingdom. They were involved in different sieges and fighting with some of the bigger guys that were there, but they had dropped a lot of power. I would imagine a lot of people had moved on to different servers or quit the game or whatever for
Right.
whatever reason. So I popped over there, and yeah, they were much, much more active. With probably the best defense strategy I've seen in the game.
Really?
Uh, yeah, they were up on. Let me get the because we could just call it AOD Island. They were on an island just north of the Fingers, and it was basically a pain for anybody to go attack them. So where
Hmm.
is it? It's the island is at 624292.
All right. Let's take a look at what you're talking about.
It's just like right north of the Vale.
Okay. 624.
292.
Okay. Let's take a look.
So unless somebody moved off the island, there was no way in. And you had to sit in the Fingers and attack from there. And that gave everybody plenty of notice. So, it was really easy to bubble.
Oh, I see
Um,
it. Yeah. No, that's a really good spot.
yeah, so that was honestly just full to the brim of AOD accounts. So we were probably a pain in the backside to a farm or anything like that for the bigger alliances.
Right.
Every now and then somebody would pop off for whatever reason, and there'd be a gap, and that's when all hell broke loose.
Yeah, you got to
Because
put a plug in.
we had one guy, especially in XGA, and I mean, honestly, he gives me PTSD to think about him popping onto the island, and he was so quick. He'd just come in and rinse everybody and gone. And before you could even do anything, I was like, oh no, who moved?
Oh no.
Everybody's dead. So, they were fun times, but I mean, really defensive minded people, and they were very, very good at it.
Okay.
Um, and I think it kind of came to the fore for me as to how good they were at that particular skill set in the very first KVK, because even when we went to the other server, there was alts and farms and everything brought in to plug the gaps.
Right.
And basically, from what I could see, it was the one alliance that didn't really lose a whole pile of power compared to everybody else. Now, obviously, they weren't huge, so they weren't going to be losing the same power as XGA and NOM, who were the big alliances on K11 at the time.
Okay.
But not they were really, really good people. I
Hmm.
really enjoyed my time there with those guys. Um, and then after that, we merged into XGA because there was a fairly staunch kingdom war between XGA and NOM, which was definitely something that taught me a different aspect of the game, the whole fighting side of it. AOD wouldn't have been that active in that regard.
Okay.
But once we merged in, we got to meet some other people who did know those aspects of the game a lot better than we did. And, they brought us on a bit, which was really nice too. So you could start to pick up different aspects of the game. And that made it more interesting. Obviously, XGA was like two or three times as big as us. So you had a lot more experienced players in there. And that was really cool too.
So let's backtrack a little. Why
Yeah.
did you merge? What was the decision behind that? And were you an officer in this alliance or just a
No,
member?
I wasn't. I wasn't in leadership in AOD at all. I
Okay.
mean, the extent of my responsibilities there, I guess, from time to time were to help out the officers with whatever they needed. I used to get asked to write mails from time to time, stuff like that. But that was about it.
Okay.
Um, make sure the island was full up and those type of things. Plug the hole if you see a hole. There, everybody was kind of self-sufficient there, but you know, the guys that were in charge, I mean, I guess we didn't really see a whole pile of kingdom diplomacy from where we were then. So we
Okay.
wouldn't have been completely au fait with all the different dynamics that were going on between the different alliances, especially the top two.
Hmm.
But how it came about is one day, I think one or two of the people that were in charge were probably a little bit fed up of leading and all the responsibility that was on them all the time. And I believe XGA was fighting this non-stop war with Nam. After they had this whole siege of betrayal thing, which we can talk about in a bit if you like.
Okay.
Um, so they were kind of looking to just kind of bulk up their ranks, and we had one or two big players, like not Wales or anything like that, but for K11 they were quite strong, and they could host rallies, they could get involved in this never-ending fight with XGA and Nam and help out a bit. So I
Okay.
think our leaders and their leaders got together, had a sit down and said, hey, listen, we've got like 30 spots. You've got 30 good players. Do you want to come over? So that kind of thing.
Yes. So
Um,
yeah. What
sorry.
what happened next?
So it kind of trickled down to us, and we were like, yeah, sure, let's go. Let's have fun. See what happens. We were like, yeah, fine. Let's do what we're told. It's all good. The boss says let's go, so we go.
That sounds a very familiar
Um,
comment. Well, I
yeah.
think that's a common sentiment among players. There's some people that are just very forceful and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And there's the vast majority is like, okay, sure, why not? You know?
Yeah. I mean, it was something new. So, I mean, we were going to get to play with some of the bigger people on the alliance. So there was or the server, sorry. So
Mm,
there was always that aspect to it too.
yes.
Um, it was definitely enticing because I mean at the time I would have been like I'm not a huge account now, don't get me wrong, but at the time I would have been minuscule and probably no more than a farm to these guys. Um, so the opportunity to get in there and see how they played the game was was pretty incredible. Like
Nice.
uh, like to go from, let's say we had one guy that would come on in the evening, my time, and he'd do a level 5 camp. And it was like, oh my God, we can do a level 5 camp. What? You know, it
I
was
remember that
amazing.
feeling the
So,
first time doing that.
oh,
That's a great
it was
feeling.
incredible. It was like a
Yes.
45-minute march, but like we didn't care. We were getting a level 25 spoils chest. It was incredible. Um, and then you pop over to a much bigger alliance, and it's like every 5 minutes there's one, and it's like, oh, it's the novelty wore off real quick, I guess.
Oh.
So,
No, but that
I don't know.
initial feeling is a great feeling. That feeling
Oh,
of like, I can do this.
yes, it was awesome. It's definitely one of the highlights, no doubt about it. And it's such a small thing now, but remembering doing that was really good. That was a great day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move forward. So you've merged, and you mentioned a kingdom war. What is going on with that?
Yes. So we've merged then from AOD into XGA.
Right.
And XGA would have been the second biggest alliance on the server. There was another alliance called NOM. Um, and I'm not really sure how it started. I've heard maybe 10 different versions of how it started.
Okay.
But basically, it comes down to one guy being big and bullying everybody. That's
Okay.
the common theme, you know.
Okay.
So you had one guy who had just unlocked T4s and, could burn everybody.
Okay.
And, of course, people steadily grew and they steadily grew and it just expanded. But basically, we popped over. They were at war. There was constant, like every second day of the week, you get a mail, bubble up, bubble up. Obviously, the talks or whatever were going on in the leaders' chat or diplomacy-wise weren't working out. So you'd get the warning to bubble up, or if you didn't, you'd find yourself pretty wiped very, very fast. But one of the key things there is on the server at the time, there were kind of, I guess, they'd share the castles,
Yeah.
So like Nam would have King's Landing this week, and then maybe XJ might have it, then SKR might have it, or whoever
So
the
it
alliances are that
rotated.
were involved. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Anyway, so what happened was XJ were due to take the castle. And so they ported, they got their guys into the castle, and then all of a sudden, all the other big alliances started rallying them and burned them, took the castles, and it was then henceforth known as the Siege of Betrayal. So it was all about, I guess, getting back at Nam in particular.
Was it Nom that
Because everybody in
initiated
XJ,
this?
yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Like I said, at the time I wasn't involved in any of those discussions or talks. I would have been a knight in next year. So I didn't really know other than, bubble up, this is happening, or bubble up, that's happening.
Gotcha.
So that was about it. And from there on, there was just no going back. I mean, there was always talks where there'd be a ceasefire for a little while, but it never lasted long. Somebody would say something in the background, and there'd be
Everybody get triggered
war
again.
again, because like both sides had, it was like you know what it was like, it was like mutually assured destruction back in the Cold War,
Yes.
because we had Ali Stark
Right.
and they had King Eddard, and who were very, very evenly matched at the time.
All right.
So I mean, if they didn't bubble up or look after themselves, like Ali Stark could pop over and just destroy them, no questions asked. And likewise with us, Eddard could come over and do the same to us. And that's basically how it went. So anybody that was, I guess, on the fringes or wasn't protected or didn't have a bubble on was getting wiped by somebody. And it went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth as long as God, as I can remember.
All right.
Eventually it all finished up, and I know I'm cutting out a lot of stuff with regards to that particular war, I guess, but eventually Nam had enough and they left and they went to K60.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
So, what happened after they left? What was the kingdom like for you?
Oh, for me, it was, I guess at that point, it was slightly different in that I had, I guess, kind of gone up through the ranks, so to speak. I know it's kind of a silly phrase, but,
No, if that's
um,
accurate.
you know, I'd kind of moved up. Like we had Kane was in charge of XGA, he was our leader, and I used to help him out a lot with things, different things that he'd be doing in the background, or if he was communicating in leaders, he'd seek advice, or how do I write this, or how do I write that.
Okay.
So most of the stuff that he was putting in there, I was doing, and eventually he kind of came to the conclusion, why am I just doing this? Can you not just do it for me?
Mm.
Because you know what I want. And then I was kind of landed with the diplomacy side of things. And that's originally how I got into the diplomatic aspect of the game. I think Kane was just probably fed up with it and asked me to do it for him. So I've pretty much been doing that ever since. I guess
Okay.
after Nom left, what we really, really wanted to do was have a server where we could be competitive in events. Like it was just KVK at the time, really, to be honest.
Okay.
So we could have, so the aim was always for us. And I know if anybody from K11 is listening to this, they're going to go, oh my God, that's not how we saw it. But, different people have different perspectives.
That's what this is about. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm
Um,
not expecting that
it,
everything people say in here is going to be agreed universally, regardless of who's saying it. So,
absolutely, yeah.
from your perspective, that's what you were after.
Yeah, that's what we wanted. We wanted everybody to be able to, grow, get their armies together, do their research, and then when KVK came around, have a real good go KVK and do your best.
Okay.
So from our perspective, we would look at it going, we were by far at this point after Nom left, by far the biggest alliance on the server.
Yes.
And I guess there's one little thing is I was on K18 for a little bit with another account,
Okay.
and I could see how K18 was run. Like K18 when back then was super super active. It was
Are we
probably the busiest
talking
server in the game.
who was running the kingdom at that point?
Oh, it was just before the cartel, I think.
It was
Or was it
before
just after the
Cartel?
cartel? Was it before or after? I can't remember.
So Cartel, and then after Cartel, it was Red.
Red, yes.
So it was
And I
after.
mean,
Okay.
life there was give us some gold or we're going to burn your hive.
Hmm. Okay.
And you didn't really get anything, you know? I mean, if you wanted a castle, you had to go fight for it. And you couldn't compete with the alliances that were there. But it was really interesting because there were so many, it was so populated. I mean, you couldn't move for castles on that kingdom at the time. Um, but
It,
basically, the only reason I bring that up is to show you a different dynamic of it. If you
yes.
wanted something from Raid, you had to take it from Raid. And that's the way they played the game, and I always respected them for that. This is our stance. This is where we are, and we're not giving you anything unless you earn it.
Hmm.
But I think for K11, we were kind of we never took that approach. We always wanted everybody to have their home area. This is your spot. You do whatever you need to do down here. You run your lines whatever way you want. But like literally, all we ask is when KBK comes around that you step up and fight with us because we will get we have no problem. We're the types of players that will go into an event and get wiped and laugh about it because at the end of the day it's a game.
Yeah, it's all pixels.
Um, yeah. So I mean I don't know how many times I've been absolutely wiped out in KBK. It's just I've been on the wrong side of Parachan. I've been on the wrong side of Carillion. I've like maybe 4 times. I don't know. Back when Carillion was playing. And it's just fun. You build your army up again, and you go next time.
Yeah.
That's how we look at it. So that's what we tried to do there. Basically, was try and get people to hold their castles, people to get rid of invaders and stuff like that.
Right. So what happened next?
That's interesting. So we had you guys were after coming over at that point. You were over Castle Rock.
Yeah, BDS came
Um,
over.
and not to be blowing smoke up your backside or anything, but we really liked you guys.
Oh, well, thank you. We're kind of awesome, so
No,
I get it.
yeah, I mean, but even from the outside perspective, it was even earned, because I mean, there wasn't a lot of big accounts in Black Dragons,
No, there
but my
wasn't.
God, every time somebody came to your hive, you defended yourselves to the last man, the last woman. You held your castle. If somebody rallied you out, you were right back in there.
Yeah.
It's like we looked at you going, these guys are pretty much like us. If they had the whale in their alliance, they'd be doing what we're doing,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And then we had other alliances that were just more interested in, I guess, not losing troops, putting one troop in the castle and holding it with one troop. And that was infuriating. It was so frustrating. Um, I don't know. But again, it's just the way people play the game. You gotta take that into account. Like I know
Yeah, there's
quite a
different
lot of guys. Yeah, it's
there's
different
different
ways of playing it.
goals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so I think after maybe a couple of KBKs, things got strained between us and a couple of the other alliances that were on K11, in that we drop hundreds of millions of power in KBK, and you look at the starting point of certain alliances and the finishing point and what they scored, and you're kind of going, guys, you didn't even try. You lost like a million power across an alliance with 90 people or 100 people or whatever it is. And you're kind of going, come on. But then when the rewards come up, you want everything. So we kind of got frustrated with that. And I guess certain things happened, like the world chat being toxic, which is a common theme in a lot of kingdoms after a while when relationships deteriorate. Um, I guess we just basically had enough of K11 in the end, because some of the private relationships we had with certain alliances and our own little diplomacy groupings just didn't I guess, didn't really work out. There was nothing constructive coming in it. It was all name calling and this, that, and the other thing. And at the end of the day, you play a game to have a bit of fun,
Yes.
not to get, stressed or to come out of a conversation feeling attacked or insulted or something like that. No, and I 100% appreciate that goes both ways because, some guys that we were talking to may say, well, the exact same thing. After a while, then we took the decision to go, you know what, we've tried here. We can't get people to help us. And so let's maybe look somewhere else and see what we can do.
What made you
But,
choose the new kingdom that you chose?
so we went to K23 then.
Okay.
But I'd say for probably maybe a month, 6 weeks or so beforehand, we were talking to the biggest alliance on K23. They were BSK, the Berserkers,
Yes.
and there's some really awesome people in Berserkers.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, really, really nice to talk to. Um, they're just generally, where they want to play the game and have fun. And they seem like, okay, these guys are really up our street. They're kind of what we're about. They want to be event focused. They don't want to go just burning everybody for the hell of it and forcing people off the kingdom. The rules that they had in place were they were quite good. It's kind of what we wanted to establish ourselves.
Right.
Bar maybe the gathering rules, which were a little bit strange to us because on K11 it was didn't matter where you were, didn't matter what the node was. If you were first to march, it was yours.
Right.
So here it was a bit more restricted in that whoever holds a certain castle gets this area, and level ones and twos are free across the kingdom. So that took a bit of adjusting
Regionals.
for our people.
Okay.
Um, Ironically, they're still the same here. We've kind of got really used to them now. So there's that.
Okay.
Yeah. So out of all the different things we negotiated with different alliances and changed after talks with other alliances, that's the one thing that's been common, I guess, is the node rules. Because once you get used to them, it's like, I don't want to change now. I'm just so used to this.
Yeah, you adapt. I mean,
Yeah,
as being the new
exactly.
people in a kingdom, it's kind of on you to adapt to the existing culture. So,
Yes.
sometimes some things can change because you'll bring in a new perspective that might work better, but otherwise,
Yeah.
yeah.
But so yeah, so after speaking to these guys for a while, we decided we were going to go and move to K23. There was I'm trying to remember. There was like six, maybe eight decent sized alliances, one or two really good alliances there that were very similar to us. So it could be competitive. It could be a good bunch of people that could do a lot of, decent work in KVK, which is what we wanted to do. Because at that point, it was all about KVK. We still didn't have AC or anything like that yet.
Right. No, AC was
Um,
around at that point.
it just kind of creeping in.
Okay.
It wasn't. I mean, I guess it wasn't as important as it is now. I guess.
I gotcha. Okay.
Um, so we popped over, and they had a little bit of a war. They had something like we had with Nam, and
Oh,
I can't remember the name of the alliance they were fighting. Now, forgive me for that. But they were fighting with this one alliance that were at Winterfell, and they were back and forth. But I think both of them wanted us to fight on their side, and we just stayed completely out of it.
gee, that
And
sounds
listen,
familiar.
we have enough of that. You can have your thing. We're just going to sit. We were at Castle Rock, I think, at the time, or Old Town when we popped in immediately because we didn't want to step on anybody's toes. We sat at Old Town for a couple of weeks, then we moved up to Casterly, um, and we were like, okay, you can have your thing. We're just going to stay over here and do our thing.
Mm.
Um, so I think after a while, one of the two alliances left the kingdom. They left us with a no go. We're really disappointed that you didn't fight on our side and went off. And we were like, oh, okay, fine. But we told everybody we're coming over here. We're not going to burn people. We're just going to be here for KVK and that kind of thing.
Right.
Then we had another alliance leave. Again, they blamed diplomacy, which was odd because we weren't really heavily involved in it at that point.
Okay.
Um, I think it was more a case of I don't know. I think a lot of people look at I guess if you look at any decent sized alliance and if you see they've got a whale and you don't, you just generally get worried. So I
Yes.
think people look at like God of War, Ali Stark is our big guy, you know, and Ali is like an absolute gent. For people that have spoken to him, they'll know exactly what he's like.
Okay.
People that haven't spoken to him will see that he's like, you know, whatever he is now, 1.6, 1.7 billion power, and go, oh no, he's going to burn me. But he doesn't. That's the thing, you know. I mean, like when it comes to events, honestly, Carrie, he goes nuts for 24 hours. He goes absolutely nuts. And the rest of the month, he's just like chilling, happy out. You know, this is great. Let's have a laugh and a joke and chat. And then another event comes up and he goes to town again. So that's what it is. But people just see the numbers and just get scared, I think.
Mm.
Um, so then eventually after a while, we were left with maybe 3 or 4 alliances on the server. People just started leaving. But I could never really figure out why. It's, you know,
They
there was
wouldn't say.
no there was no burning, people weren't getting farmed, anything like that.
They would
And we
just
saw one of the
disappear. They
alliances
wouldn't
that
say anything.
sorry?
They would just disappear. They wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, I mean, different people would leave for different things. I mean, some people would say we actually want more PvP. Um, so I remember one crowd, SPL, left because they wanted more PvP. We got
Mm.
involved in one little fight with them, one rally. They immediately left after the rally. And we
Oh.
were like, but guys, you said you wanted more PvP. We did one rally and you left the server. What's that about? And never heard it anymore.
Okay.
So look, I guess people, I don't know, when you get involved in a rally and you lose, you can get a bit salty, I guess at times. It's happened to me. You know, personally, I guess I've lost a battle or two in time where I'm kind of thinking, how did I lose that? Oh, come on. And then be a little annoyed about it. I guess people just react differently. I'm not sure, to be honest.
It's easy to get emotionally attached to accounts.
Yeah,
So,
that's very
you
true.
think you have something in the bag and you don't. And, yeah, there's that emotional attachment, most
Yeah, that's
definitely.
true. That's very true. Um, so what happened next?
Yeah.
I guess I guess the thing for us, so we left when we left K11 to go to K23, there was 2 alliances. There was XGA and XGO.
Okay.
You might remember XGA and XGO. So we
Yes.
had Ken. Ken was in charge in XGA, and Lee Karras was in charge in XGO. Again, our main focus was KVK, and AC then started, you know, to become more prominent.
Yes.
And one thing that we noticed was, right, we've got this joint Discord. So you'd have guys from XGA and guys from XGO doing different things, but in the same voice chat. And we noticed that we had a lot of guys on at the same time, and this might sound blatantly obvious to anybody from the outside, but when you're in your little bubble and you've got your bunch of friends stretched across your main alliance, your sister alliance, or however you want to put it, you don't really tend to notice these things, but we did notice after a little while we had a lot of guys online that weren't able to, you know, get involved in our fights or get involved in our rallies because obviously one was an XJ and one was an XGO.
Yes.
We had 2 alliances that did decent in AC and did 2 different time slots and had, you know, decent numbers in the 2 time slots, but again, all these people were generally on at the same time. So then one day somebody had a brainwave and go, okay, hold on. So if we've got all these people on at the same time, why don't we just do a bit of a swap around and, you know, put all the guys that are on at this time slot that want to go or that are willing to go and get themselves zeroed for whatever reason, put
Yes.
them together so they can all, you know, do the rallies together and do all the fighting together and all that kind of stuff. And then we have had AFO, All for One was born out of that. So
Okay.
now,
I was
yeah, so
wondering
now,
about the rename. That makes sense.
yeah, so AFO was essentially XGO,
Okay.
but it was rebranded, and we moved a lot of people that wanted to, you know, get involved in more fighting, more rallies. Like we had a lot of people that would have been in XGO that wanted to join a goal rally, but obviously couldn't because they weren't in the alliance with him.
Right.
I guess in XGA, if we were rallying a castle, we might get 10 people in a rally in one of Gold's rallies. Whereas in AFO, it's full. And I mean, if you don't send troops within 2.2 seconds, you're not getting in. It's insane how active these battles are now for us.
That's good.
Um, whereas before when we were split across two alliances, we kind of struggled a bit at times to be able to get these castles filled up, these rallies filled up,
Right.
castles reinforced and such. So basically, that's how AFO was born. We got all I guess, the nut jobs into AFO, and the people in XGA were reasonably minded people that, I guess didn't want to be stuck to a PC for 24 hours in KVK. That's about the size of it, really.
Okay.
So we got all these bloodthirsty people together and tried it out for a KVK and an AC, and we were kind of happy with the results from AFO's perspective. And we tried to carry on with that. Um, it then became better in AC for us as well because we were getting more. Our numbers had gone up from like maybe 30 or 40 to 50 or 60 at times. So we kind of doubled up a bit, and that made
Okay.
us a bit more competitive. Um, and even with the last season, we managed to get ourselves into the Ultimate Conquest, which was really, really nice, even
Yeah,
though
I
the
saw
draw
that.
was terrible.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. No, we did good. I think we were very happy with where we finished. Like when we saw the draw, we were like, "Oh my God, could this not be any worse?" Like, I mean, we got TNR at the start, and TNR,
Their beast, yes.
yeah, they're awesome guys. You got Millers, and they're an absolute legend in the game. Um, then if we were looking at it, if we won, we got BCL, and that's the end of that. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, we all know
Um,
how the end would be, but you never know where
yeah,
the middle rankings would go.
it's just kind of a matter of how many counts you can get in to see if you can scrape together a few points, because that's exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Um, so we had yeah, there were our options. So we started off with a really tough battle against TNR, and we gave them a pretty decent fight, but they beat us soundly, I think, in the first one, and kudos to them
Okay.
for that. Then we moved on and had a pretty decent fight in the losers bracket to get back for a rematch with TNR.
Oh, okay. I
But
didn't know that.
yeah, so we got them again. Because no disrespect to TNR, when they beat us the first time, they were going up against BCL, so we knew that we were going to be going up against them again if we got through our match.
Oh, so you guys intentionally did not.
Well, I wouldn't say that to a certain degree, but we definitely experimented a little bit.
Okay.
We did also, I have to be honest, not help ourselves. We made one or two little, silly errors from time to time, but uh,
How dare you not be perfect?
in the name of science, I will say. You
Okay.
know, so we use that match as a great opportunity to see how different people would do in different rallies.
Okay.
Especially when it became apparent that they had locked down certain buildings and we couldn't take them back.
Right.
So it was all about at that place. Let's learn what we can. In the second matchup, then we got the win against CNR in the second matchup, which was really nice for us. But I think I'm not really sure where they came from. They were shy a little bit on the numbers second time around. We were expecting the same kind of numbers from them because it was the same time slot again. But
Mm.
I mean, again, look, you just got to take advantage of things like that.
Well, life gets in the way at
Um,
times. Not everybody can
I know,
make the
but that's
same stuff,
that's it.
you
But we
know?
had pretty much from our side, we had almost a perfect performance in the second one. We had, I guess, for reinforcements and stuff like that, we were much, much more on the ball. Taking buildings, getting back in there, making sure we didn't lose them.
Right.
So we got through. We got a good win in what I have to be honest was a really, really tough fight.
Okay.
So that was super nice for us. And then we got German Jokers who just had too much for
Yeah.
us.
They're,
You
they're,
know?
they're legends of their own, so yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. No, they just had too much for us. But honestly, it was great to participate in that match
Okay.
because you got to see an alliance in action that strategically are quite good.
Yes.
Um, at the same time, if you get a little bit lucky, you've got an outside chance. Unfortunately for us, we didn't get a little bit lucky. But what can you do? But no, it was great to see them in action. Honestly, the whole UC experience was pretty cool for us. Even though we didn't go, deep into it, but we still got some really nice matches. We had a lot of fun.
I'm glad.
Um,
I'm glad.
that's kind of that's what we aim at now, Carrie, is the Champion City Siege is one. We've got one win under our belts there against Senturi, a couple of CCSs back, which was really cool. Um, Ultimate Conquest, obviously, and KVK. So that's what we play the game for, really. The rest of the time, we're just kind of hanging out, doing our farming, doing our building, making some troops.
So,
Generally what everybody does, I guess.
let me ask, so you talk a lot about the alliances and how they grew and all that. How has your account grown? How's your experience changed with all these changes that you've gone through with the alliances?
Well, I guess that's one of the positives that comes out of making these different moves. We've got a couple of guys in X Game. And when I say X Game, I mean XGA and AFO.
Mm-hmm.
And they are, to be honest, they're excellent with different stats, different figures. You've got, and I'm going to never hear the end of it for saying this, but you've got Lee, who's kind of our Licaris is his game name. You got Heretic, who's in AFO as well. These are the types of guys, and they put a lot of time and study into different strategies, formations. I mean, we call everything they do like a science experiment.
Okay.
But for me personally, I would have gone from, let's say, researching stuff that I thought was probably important, which really, in the relevance of the game overall, has, it's of no benefit. Yeah, so you're like, you're researching like your wall, which is not going to do you a whole pile of good at the end of the day, because
Watch, the
if someone's
devs will
going to hit you,
trick us all and bring that and make that valuable.
yeah, it would be nice because I have a whole ton of wall research
Yeah,
done.
you and me both. I got bored at one point and just started working on the wall because I was like, I don't want to do anything that's actually productive. And
Well, the reason I have it done is because of Lee. And Lee, if you're listening to this, thank you for the wildfire towers.
oh Lord.
Lee told me they
Okay.
were awesome, so I did them like an idiot, and now he laughs at me every time he gets a chance to about my wildfire towers.
So note
So
to self,
that's
never
that.
listen to Lee's advice. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically. But I mean, just going back to those guys. I mean, getting to go into a group or be more involved with players like these who do analyze almost every aspect.
Right.
Every time there's a new release, every time there's a new commander, a new dragon skill, whatever. I mean, they go into, you know, the littlest details as to what
Mm-hmm.
they do.
Okay.
So my whole approach to the game of just la di da, let's have a bit of fun, let's do this, let's do that because it's next on the list. That's changed to being more focused on doing like I put it this way, if it wasn't for those guys, I never would have done the second globals, I guess.
I gotcha.
Um, so they helped immensely in those kind of things. But again, that's just feeding in on the experience of other people that have played the game. And that's one thing that is, it's probably the best thing about Game of Thrones is the people, the feedback, the experiences that they have, and how they can help you. And likewise, you can pass that on to somebody else. That's what I really love about this.
Well, that was going to be my next question. What's your favorite thing about the game?
Oh, there you go. That's exactly what it is. It's the
So the
people. It
people.
has to be always.
Okay.
Even and I think one of we were talking recently a while back, and one thing is even though we were on different servers, at the drop of a hat, you can drop a message, and the relationship is still there from when we
Yep.
were on K11.
Yep.
You know,
I
and
always enjoyed having a good diplo relationship with you, so I knew I could go and talk with you if I had questions about something. It was great.
yeah, and that's it, and that's the way I see it as well. I think it's superb that we can have things like that.
Yep.
You know, even across servers. Like I know a lot of guys in different kingdoms, and from way back when. And like they'll drop a line and go, "Oh, hey, did you notice this? If you do that and blah blah blah." And it's just super the way people help each other out.
I agree.
Because at the end of the day, everybody's here to have a bit of fun. That's how it should be,
Exactly.
and hopefully most people do have a bit of fun when they play it.
So,
You
if
know.
that is your favorite part, the relationships, what's your least favorite part?
Ooh. Hmm.
And be
Oh
honest,
God.
it's nodes, isn't it? It's no drama.
Yeah, it's always no drama. The worst part for me, without a shadow of a doubt, hands down, is diamond mines. I hate them with a
Thank
passion.
you. Thank you. Somebody said it.
They cause so much trouble. And they're not even worth
Oh,
it. Oh my God.
no. No, not at all. The
That's
drama.
that's that's a sad thing, you know? The
People
drama
can.
over a few diamonds. I mean, if there's any game developers listening, just please give people a bunch of diamonds at the end of KVK and be done
Yes,
with
like
it.
I've been saying this for the longest time. What they need to do is just look at what your final total score is and give a formula amount of diamonds based on your performance. I guarantee more
Yeah,
people will be active if that's the case.
100%. Oh my God, it's like it just makes so much sense, you know?
Yeah, if they're
I
not
mean,
active, then they don't need the diamonds. So,
exactly,
yeah, no.
exactly. But no, they're the one single thing that there's always fighting over. Um, even normal regular nodes, it's like, oh, I can't find a level 5. Ah, well, I move on. I get a level 4. People here generally don't have a problem
Yep.
with those things, but when the diamonds pop up, oh my God! And especially if you win,
Oh, it's
because there's
even
only a handful of
worse.
level 5s, then it starts. I was first. No, I was first. I was first. Oh God, guys, come on.
Screenshot it or shut up.
Exactly.
That's
There's no
always my
screenshot.
response.
There's no
If I
proof.
don't see a screenshot with your arrow and a timestamp, I don't want to know about
Yep,
it.
exactly. A woman after my own heart.
Oh my god, so
That
tired of
that
it.
is.
So tired
Oh,
of it. All right.
it's so bad.
It is. It really is. What do you believe is the key to a successful alliance?
Um, luck.
Luck.
A
Now you got
lot,
to
a lot of
elaborate on
luck.
that.
A, a lot of luck. A lot of science experiments. A lot of willing to let your troops die in the name of glory.
Is that what
No,
we're calling it?
do you
Glory.
know what? It's generally the key for me to, and I think we've been a fairly successful alliance since the game started. I mean, obviously we're not one of the big, huge alliances, but we we're okay.
Yeah, you're substantial.
We're up. We're kind of. We're not. We're not. We're up there in the top 50 somewhere, so that's nice.
Okay.
Um, I guess the key for us is that you got people pulling in the same direction. You know, um, and again, I'll talk about events. If you're in KVK, you need people to be doing the same thing. You need people that are willing to, I guess, go into the game and basically have a common goal and try and achieve those goals together.
Right.
Once you've got a couple of people like that, and once you have a couple of decent people that are advising everybody and telling them, listen, this is the plan, this is what we need to do, these are our aims. And once you have all people together on the same hymn sheet, basically, you're going to do pretty okay.
Agreed.
Um, like for AC, again, an example, we've got a guy that goes in and sets out this intricate battle plan for AC. This is what happens when we get the Tower of the Mother. This is what happens when we don't. And, these are the instructions. You've got 10 people, for example. We need you doing these rallies. We need you doing those rallies. But the key is obviously you have somebody who's willing to put the time into that.
Mm.
But then at the other side of it, you've got those 10 guys that are willing to 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 do what they're being asked, and not having a problem with it. So we're pretty good in that we do have that. So that's pretty cool for us. And I think that is one of the things that makes a decent alliance and makes you fairly successful as an alliance. You got decent leadership and you've got a good core of people that are all pulling in the same direction
I gotcha.
and hope
So,
for the best and then get a bit of luck.
and a little bit
Luck
of
is
luck.
key.
um, what is your proudest moment in the game?
Oh, uh, proudest moment.
Yeah, there's something
You
that
know what?
immediately popped in your head when I said it. What
There
was it?
was, I'm drawing a blank and I had something for this.
You
And I
prepared? How dare you?
no, because one of the guys asked me, no, not even asked me. We were talking about it like only 2 or 3 days ago, So somebody asked me this question just a couple of days ago,
Oh,
and
okay. Then that's fair.
I can't for the life of me remember what it was.
Then you
I
weren't
think
truly proud.
proudest moment, just for the sake of thinking of something, because I can't think of what I really wanted to say,
Okay.
is Lee and I were after finding some bank somewhere that somebody left unbubbled
Mm-hmm.
when I was an XGA and he was an XGO, and we were farming the bank and he accidentally attacked me and I won. So that's my proudest moment.
Oh, Jesus. There was
Oh.
an alliance that was on K19, and friends of mine had found their bank unbubbled and drained the bank. And the alliance was so upset they just returned everything. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, that was nice.
Yeah.
Genuinely. I
Yeah.
think all jokes aside, probably the proudest moment in the game is with AFO where we went into our first Champion City Siege again, not really knowing what the event was about, and going in against a pretty tough opponent.
Mm.
Um, and being able to come back to K23 to the other alliances that were here with double buffs
That is
and,
cool. Yes.
giving out the login to the Champion City Siege castle to the other alliances that helped us get there. Because obviously they were giving up castles to help us achieve our goal of trying to get buffs for the server. So being able to come back from Champion City Siege and give people an additional buff, that was pretty cool. Um, I was pretty proud of that, to be honest.
Very nice.
That
I
was
don't
nice.
blame you. No, that ability to coordinate and work together, it's not
Yeah,
easy considering the time constraint and the chaos in that setting.
absolutely. No, it was awesome because the guys that we have on our server right now, we're going to name drop HMT at Winterfell on K23. They're
Okay.
awesome.
Nice.
They're like really cool people. I mean, they go above and beyond every time to help us out. And so to be able to come back and go, guys, we got these for you. That was super cool. I was really proud of that. So that was nice. It's just so good when you have a kingdom that help you to try and achieve things to be able to give back, you know?
Yep, that shared
And
vision.
so that yeah, exactly. So that's probably it, to be honest.
Okay. Um, is there anybody in particular that you admire in the game that you have not already mentioned?
Ooh. Mm.
Yes.
Um
Because you've mentioned a
so
number of people already that you do admire. Like
yeah,
Lee.
those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Lee
Um,
and his ponies.
yeah. Nah, there's a few people, all right, that I do admire. And again, like as I said, I've mentioned a couple of guys in AFO. There's a couple of guys in XGA back through the time, especially there's one guy that sticks out like a sore thumb, and he doesn't play the game anymore. So, but he was back in AOD, a guy called I always pronounce it wrong. I apologize, Gobless. He was
Okay.
awesome. He was the guy that recruited me into AOD and just taught me so much. Another guy that was in the Alliance was a guy called Merlin. These two guys just kind of took me from farming level ones and two nodes and taught me how to play the game basically.
Okay.
Um, so huge respect to those guys. I know Merlin is still playing, but God bless, found some other game to play. And moved on. But there's a bunch, practically every single person in my alliance right now. There's amazing people in there. Like LT is one guy who's just like a merit magnet. I don't know how he does it, but always finds in KVK, for example, always manages to find somebody to fight with. I can't do it. I don't know how
Okay.
he does it. I'm in awe of that guy. Um, there's I could name like 20, 30 names,
Well,
honestly, but
more the
practically
ones that
all
just
of
really stand out right now. He promised. Okay, so Senturi promises if you are not named right now, he still thinks highly of you.
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. And anybody genuinely that is willing to put in a bit of time into their airlines and represent airlines in Kingdom like talks or or try and lead in the lines and try and improve themselves in the game. Admire those type of people because every alliance needs those people and without them you don't have anything,
yeah, the
you
game
know.
would be very
So
boring.
yeah, all those guys out there that never get, I guess, any mention or any credit from the airlines. I admire all those people for putting in the super hard work that they do. Because let's be honest, sometimes it is a chore.
It's a job, is what it is. But yes.
So yeah, that's about them really, I think.
Okay.
I'm gonna get killed in a minute now for not mentioning somebody, aren't I?
Well, just stand behind Lee. Let his ponies do his
Yep.
thing. Um, so, two last questions.
Yep.
Were there any special moments that you remember that you did not mention already that you would like to share?
I don't think so, to be honest.
Okay.
Not without like a 5 minute pause to think back.
That-
And I'm sure that won't be good for your for chronicling.
Uh, this is your recording. So if
Um,
there's something that you
not
want
off not off the
brought
top
up,
of my head, sorry.
okay.
Like I guess other than that, the first time one thing that does stand out to me actually is
Okay.
back in the very very first KVK. This small little account that jumped servers again, no clue what was going on, and got himself zeroed like 5 times in the first hour. You know, all from the same guy. So that was kind of fun. But and again, it wasn't a case of screaming at the PC, going, "Oh my God, you're such a beep" or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just fun. It was honestly fun. But other than that, really, I can't think of anything right now.
Okay. No worries. And the last question would be, what is the one thing you most want people to remember about you?
Oh no, that's a very, 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 very. I don't even know what to say. The one thing to remember about me is my gold farm.
Your
I've
gold
got a
farm,
lot.
really? That's what
Yeah,
you want them to
yeah,
remember. Why?
yeah. Why? Because I mean, it's just awesome. So
Okay, no,
it's
you
better.
can't
It's
you can't
it's
you can't
better than my
mention
main
gold farms
account.
without explaining that to me.
I mean, that's just copping out, right?
Oh, dude. Killing me.
Um. Oh God, I really don't know, honestly. Um. I mean, I guess that's for everybody that plays the game to decide for themselves personally. I
Okay.
mean, if I wanted people to remember me in such a way, I guess it would be that I wasn't always annoying as hell, just most of the time. I mean, I'd be happy with that.
Okay. All right. So, not annoying as hell some of the time. Gotcha.
Yeah, just
Okay.
just a little.
Just a little. All right. Then
Yeah,
I'm going to
so
say, unless there's anything else that you would like to include, we're going to wrap this up.
I think we're good. I'm very happy with what I've said. I hope everybody else is.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me today, Senturi, and I will talk to you on the Discord.
Thank you very much, Carrie, for having me. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye bye.